What is firewall? Well, in computing, a firewall is a software or hardware based network security system that controls the incoming and outgoing network traffic by analyzing the data packets and determining whether they should be allowed through or not based on a rule set. A firewall establishes a barrier between a trusted, secure internal network and another network, example the internet, that is not assumed to be secure and trusted. Well, firewall in GUI mode in different operating systems. The left image represents the firewall in Linux, whereas the image on the right represents the firewall in GUI mode in Windows 7. Now let's get familiar with some basic definitions or terminology related to firewall and networking. Input, used for traffic, which is entering a system and belongs to an IP address which is on a local machine. Output, used for traffic, which is originated on the local system. Forward, used for traffic which is being routed between two network interfaces on the firewall. Accept a packet, allows the packet to be passed through the firewall without any noticeable interaction. Drop a packet, simply drops the packet as if it has never been in the system. Reject a packet, drops the packet, then sends an ICMP reply back to the client telling it why the connection failed. Port, in computer networking, a port is an application specific or process specific software construct serving as a communication endpoint in a computer's host operating system. A port is associated with an IP address of the host as well as the type of protocol used for communication. The purpose of port is to uniquely identify different applications or processes running on a single computer and thereby enable them to share a single physical connection to a packet switched network like the internet. Well, there are two types of protocols: transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol. The first one is called TCP and the second one is called UDP in short forms. Hello everyone, today we would be learning how to configure firewall in Windows 7. For this purpose, we click on Start button. Then we click on Control Panel. Then we choose System and Security option. Then we click on Windows Firewall. Well, as you can see, there are two types of networks: home network and the public network. Home network is the network which you trust, that is the network at your home and at your office. And the other network is the public network, that is the network you can't trust, such as example the network at the coffee shops and airports. Now let's learn how to turn firewall on. For this purpose, we click on Turn Windows Firewall on or off. We click on it. We choose Turn Windows Firewall on for home network as well as for the public network. Then we choose the second option in it, that is Notify me when Windows Firewall blocks a new program. Then we click on OK button. Now a firewall has been turned on. Next, we learn how to allow a program through Windows Firewall. For this purpose, we click on Allow a program or feature through Windows Firewall. We click on Allow a program or feature through Windows Firewall. Then we choose the program according to our requirement. For this purpose, we choose Brand Cache Content Retrieval uses HTTP for home network. We click on OK. Now to recheck it, we again go to Allow a program or feature through Windows Firewall. As you can see, the firewall has been switched on for home or private network. Then we again click on OK. Now let's learn how to set up rules. For this purpose, we click on Advanced Settings. We click on it. Then we choose Inbound Rules, right click it and select New Rule. Well, there are many rules. For example, Program Rule, Port Rule, Predefined Rule and Custom Rule. For simplicity, we choose Program Rule. Then click on Next. Then what type of applications does this rule apply to? There are two methods. First, we apply this rule to a specific application, and the second is apply this rule to all the applications or all the programs. For simplicity, we choose all programs. Then click on Next. Then we choose the type of connection what action should be taken when a connection matches the specified conditions. We choose Allow the connection option. Well, there are two more, that is Allow the connection if it is secure and Block the connection. We choose the first one, that is Allow the connection. We click on Next. Then when does this rule apply? We have three options: domain, private, public. You can choose these options according to a requirement. We choose all three. Then we click on Next. Then there is an option to add a name for your rule. The name should be searched so that you can identify your rule for which purpose it has been set up. For this we choose the name of a rule as SM2013. Then there is a description option. Well, it's optional. It's up to you if you want to add a description or not. Then click on finish. As you can see, a new rule SM2013 has been set up. Well, you can disable this rule by clicking it and selecting disable rule. You can enable it by clicking on enabling the rule, right click it, enable rule. Then you can delete it. You simply have to right click it and choose delete option and then click on yes. Now let's learn how to open a port. To open a port, again go to inbound rules, right click and select new rule. Then choose the port rule that controls connections for a TCP or UDP port. Then you click on next. Does this rule apply to TCP or UDP? We choose the TCP option. Does this rule apply to all local ports or specific local ports? For the sake of simplicity, we choose all local ports. Then we click on next. Then what action should be taken when connection matches the specified condition? There are three options. We choose the first one, that's allow the connection. The other two are allow the connection if it is secure and block the connection. Then we click on next. When does this rule apply? Domain, private, public. Again, it's up to you what type of rule, when does this rule apply, but it is always advised to choose all three. Then we click on next. Then we add name to our port. Then again the name should be searched so that you can identify for which purpose this port has been created. We name it as SM2013 port, and then if you want to add a description, you can add it. It's again optional, it's up to you. Then we click on finish. As you can see, SM2013 port has been created. Now to disable this, we right click it and select disable rule. To enable it, again we right click it and enable it. Now we right click it once again and go to properties. Now we choose programs and services. Well, there are two options. All programs that meet the specified condition, this program. We choose all programs that meet the specified condition. Well, if you choose this program, it is for a specific program. This port would be open. So we click on browse and choose and go to desktop and choose the choose the program of our choice. For example, we choose debut video capture or software. Then you click on open, then apply, and click on OK. Now this port has been opened for our application debut video capture software. Now to delete this port or to close it, either we can disable rule to close this port, or to delete it, we right click it and select delete and then click on yes. Now that's how we configure a firewall. Thank you.
Now we are going to take a look at configuring firewall in Linux using the command line. So we will use the UFW command, which UFW stands for uncomplicated firewall. So we first go and type to enable the command, enable the firewall, and it says you need to be root to run this script. So we can either use sudo, but the fact is that we are going to use this command again and again, so we can get the root permissions directly using sudo minus s. So now we type in the password, and now you have the root permissions. So now if we type UFW enable, and wait a few seconds, so you can see that firewall is active and enabled on system startup. So we can confirm that by seeing the firewall status. You see the status says is active. So now let's have a look for basic rules for allowing and denying connection to ports. So there are basically three things that you can do. First is allow, which lets the data packet in. You can reject the package with an error, and also you can use deny, which drops the package and gives no response whatsoever. So for example, we can do UFW allow, and then we type the port number. So for example, we take the port 8080 and then we press enter. So rule is added. Now to view the rules, we can type UFW status number to get the rules with in a numbered list, and you can see that to the port 8080 we have allow in from anywhere. Now to and the same way we can do with the reject, and say type the port number to be 900. Rule is added. See the status number, and we can see that reject in is the rule reject is in added for the port 900. Now the fact is that we have rejected to the port 900, but in some cases it might we need that we need to specify a particular protocol which is to be allowed or rejected. So the syntax for that is you type UFW allow to any port number, and then we type this keyword called proto, which stands for protocol, and then the name of the protocol. Say we want to allow the UDP protocol, so it reads like UFW allow to any port. It says allow to any port, but it's to that port only. So we specify the port number here, so we can type like 9000, and we type proto UDP. So as you can see, let me just type the command, and UFW status number. So we can see that to the port 9000 we have from anywhere we have just allowed the UDP protocol in, and we can do the same for TCP and other protocols. So except for these, and yes, the way I have allowed it, you can just do this also. You can deny it as well. And now we see the status number list, so we can see it's denied it. So now we can also disable or enable particular services, and say you do not remember the port number for a service, so you can directly type the name of a service. Say we want to deny a secure shell, so you can do like that, UFW deny SSH, and the rule is added, and you can see that for generally computers deny for the SSH is at the port 22, and we have denied it. Now we have denied in, but if you want to completely disable SSH, you have to deny it out as well. So to do that, you type UFW deny out. The rule is added. So now the SSH is completely disabled. So now let's have look some of the more options of the UFW command. You can also control connections from particular IP addresses. Say you know that a particular IP address is malicious and you want to block any data packets from it to all of your ports. So you can do UFW deny from 192. This is a malicious address. 168 IP address of the malicious user to any. So this does it for all of the ports, and we can see the status number list. So you can see here the rule number 6 shows that we have denied in access from 192.168.56.20. and you can also deny access out from you can use UFW command to disable outgoing from any port to the given address, and this you can do this to block the IP address completely. So you can do UFW deny out from any to 192.168.56.20 to any. the rule is added and we can see it here. So we have you can see rule number 6 and 7. So we have completely blocked this IP address. Now we can neither receive and nor send to it. Also we can do that, say to a particular port. We have done it for any, and you just need to specify the port number. For example, UFW allow in from 192.168.56.14 to any port, and then you specify the port number here. So say the port number is 1234. The rule is added and you can see the rule in the list here. And say you want to delete a rule, you can use the delete command, UFW delete option, delete, and we have the numbered list here. So we want to say delete the rule 1. So we type in 1, ask you to confirm it, yes, and rule is deleted, and we can see the UFW started number. So that rule, previous one which was here, we can scroll it up, say 8080 was allowed in, so that is gone. And say you want to completely reset the firewall, you have the option to do that as well. To go to default system settings, reset, it asks you to yes or no. Yes. So now we have resetted the firewall, and just to exit out of the root permissions, we can type in exit. So this is some of the basic commands you can use with the UFW command to configure firewall.
Now we would be learning about a utility called nmap, which is used in command line interface to scan various ports. Now let's see how to use this utility. For this purpose, first we have to install this utility. For that, we type sudo apt -get install nmap, then my password. As you can see, this utility was already installed on my laptop, so it only searched for the upgrades and it could not found any upgrades. Now let's see how to use this utility. This utility requires super user permission, so we always have to accompany it with a sudo command, sudo followed by nmap, then the host IP address. We type the local host IP address. For that we type 127.0.0.1. Now as you can see, it shows port 631 and which uses the protocol TCP, and this port's state is open and it is used for service IPP. Now there is another method to use nmap command. We can type this command in the following manner: sudo nmap -s capital S followed by the IP address 127.0.0.1. Then you press enter. Well, the use of the above command is basically used for sync scanning only. There is nothing else.